Today is our
40th wedding anniversary.
And as we've been out and about on a retreat together, we've recorded 40 lessons we have learned in 40 years. Being loyal to your spouse is probably the single most important thing I can think of. Having someone who you trust implicitly, who you don't ever worry about them being unfaithful or doing anything that would be to harm you. That's my number one.
So one of the things to do is to find little shared pleasures that you can do. It don't cost a lot, but are just fun things. We used to play intramural sports at BYU, and where we lived in our apartment was not far from the fields, and so we could walk to and from the fields. And on the way back, there was a gas station that had chocolate donuts. And so we would, as a treat after, playing a game, we'd go grab a chocolate donut, and that would be a shared pleasure. And that was just fun. It's something to look forward to.
They say opposites attract, and that certainly can be true. When Sam and I started dating, he was getting his master's degree in electrical engineering, and I was majoring at the time in music dance theater. So very different in lots of ways, but that's fine. Just make sure you do have a foundation of commonality in things that are actually important, so that while you can be interesting to each other, you're also compatible with each other.
So one of the things is to remember special occasions. My wife is really good about remembering special occasions to get out of her way. So I have to work harder at it, but it just shows that you care, that you try not to forget things like anniversaries and birthdays and stuff like that.
One thing I would say is to choose to do things joyfully and happily that are things you wouldn't pick on your own. You wouldn't do if your spouse wasn't involved. Early in our marriage, my husband played intramural sports that I was not involved in. I played out some of them, but I didn't play all of them. And he was still playing when we had two little kids. And sometimes taking two little kids to a game on a field and trying to wrangle them while cheering for your husband was difficult. And I wouldn't have done it for just a random team, but for him, I did it, and I think he appreciated that. Yeah?
Yeah.
And he has done the same thing for me so many times. A year ago, the day after Thanksgiving, completely unprompted, I didn't say a word. I didn't even ask for this. In fact, I never asked for this specifically. But he knows I like rom-coms, and it's fun for me. And the day after Thanksgiving, we got ready for bed, and he turned on a rom-com, like a Hallmark Channel Christmas movie. And he put one on every single night until Christmas. And that was not for him, I promise you. It was completely for me, and I didn't ask for it, but he thought ahead about something that would be fun for me. So that's close to my heart.
Every relationship works better if you're dependable.
You don't have to do everything together. You can have your separate interests and hobbies, but find at least a few things you both really like, that you're both enthusiastic about, and that you can enjoy doing together.
One thing to do is to let people have parts of the household that they get to make the decisions in and respect those decisions.
You do not have to have a lot of money or possessions or anything else to be happy. From 1986 until 1990, Sam and I lived there. That little basement apartment built with cinder block. By the time we left in 1990, I was just about to have our second daughter. We were still happy and in love. And I just want to add, this is way fancier than when we lived here.
Have to learn to be kind. Even when you're stressed out, remember that each of you love each other, and remember just to be kind first.
When you get married, remember that there are two families coming together. So, as much as you would like to, don't insist that all the traditions from your family are correct and from your spouse's family are dumb, wrong, bad. So try to blend the traditions in ways that both of you will be happy with. One of those compromises to me was opening a present on Christmas Eve, which sounds silly and a lot of people do, but I did not want to. I wanted to save all the anticipation and excitement until Christmas morning. But his family always opened a present, and it was usually pajamas. And we incorporated that, and guess what? My kids have come to expect it, and they love it. So be flexible.
Okay, one of the things is to be flexible, and that means sometimes being inflexible. What I mean by that is my wife likes to have traditions that she repeats every time, and I like to just mix it up. And so for me to not mix it up requires me being flexible about mixing it up. And same for her, if she wants to mix it up, she has to sometimes not do the thing that we do every time. So just remember to accommodate each other's stuff. Maybe sometimes you just have to call it out and say, hey, I know we always do this, but can we just do something different this time? Or I know you like to just do something different, but can we make this a tradition this time? You know, like the second time or third time, or whatever it is.
Early in our marriage, Sam and I were having a discussion, and I said, well, let's agree to disagree, because we disagreed on something. It wasn't some big fight, but we just disagreed on it. And he said, well, I don't want to agree to disagree. Let's see if we can come to a place where we both agree on it. And by that, he did not mean, let me keep persuading you until you agree with me. He really sincerely meant, let's keep talking until we find a place where our opinions converge. And on important issues, I think we've always done that, ever since that conversation, where if there's something that's foundational or important, we keep working. If we disagree on it, we keep working until we come to an agreement or a conclusion. And the way he said it was, I just think we haven't talked about it long enough to understand each other. I love that, because on important things, we really do agree. Now, he likes blue and I like yellow. We have different tastes in food, but on important issues and foundational issues, we pretty much agree completely.
Be fair about what you give and take from the relationship. If you're the guy and your job is to make sure that you have enough money and support so that you can live a life, then make sure you do that. If you're the gal and you're taking care of the household or the kids or some combination, or working yourself, you know, make sure that you're fair about what you do. Alison's like always been super frugal, way more frugal than I am. So everything that I've ever made, I know would get spent well. If it didn't get spent well, it's because I was the one not spending it well, it wasn't her.
Speaking of money, come to an agreement about how expenditures will be done and managed. First, always 100% honesty with regard to how you're spending money. It's shared money. It's a shared income, no matter who's actually earning or not earning, or whatever combination there is. But come to an agreement about how you are going to spend and what your priorities are. Sam and I came from very different financial backgrounds. My parents were extremely frugal. His parents were pretty much, wait, get the money, spend it, wait till you get the next pot of money. And all four of them were born in the 20s, so they went through the Depression, but very different approaches. So it was something of an effort to come to an agreement about how we would manage things. And we came to a place where both of us were happy about it. That's what you want to do.
So one of the things to do is to cultivate a culture in your marriage. Like, there's different things you can do. One of those that's sort of overarching is a culture of excellence. Just do things well. And that could be as simply as not being a slob, or taking care of your health. When people do excellent things, it inspires the other person to be better as well. And so both of you lift each other up when you do that.
After you get married, keep going on dates. If you are young and newly married and poor, go on free dates. There are plenty of things to do that are free or little money. If you are young and have little kids and can't afford a babysitter, figure it out. When we were in college and had our 2 little kids, I actually set up a babysitting swap with other young couples with married kids. And I made little babysitter bucks. And we exchanged babysitting with people we knew and trusted, but also in a way that would be fair and equitable to everybody involved. So figure it out and keep dating your spouse.
I think one thing that makes for a good marriage is if both partners are continuing to grow and develop and not stagnate in their lives, that there's new things going on, like, reading, studying things, having interests that grow over time, so that there's something fresh.
Always be the biggest cheerleader for your spouse in accomplishments, in endeavors and things they're trying. Cheer for them, support them, give them a big thumbs up all the time.
So this is for the guys. It makes no sense to most guys, but girls like flowers, so buy them flowers. And the fact that cut flowers die after a few days, it's the extravagance of getting them something, they like that. So, it doesn't have to make sense. Just do it.
This is for the women. Men like tools. It makes no sense. They might just sit in the garage and collect. They may never use them, but they like them. It's the extravagance of buying something that they will never use, but will sit there and they can touch it and look at it and fawn over it.
Your marriage vows, if they're forever, they're stronger than if they're not forever.
Men and women are different, and it's okay. Now, you're going to have a lot of similarities and overlap, but please don't freak out if your husband is not like a woman and your wife is not like a man. It's a good thing. Yin and yang, they work together better that way.
Well, if you can't have kids and you're married, you should have kids, because you won't be the same person afterwards.
Attraction isn't everything. Now, I want you to marry someone who you're attracted to. I was incredibly attracted to Sam when we got married, and I still am 40 years later, but it's not everything, and it's not gonna last every moment. I remember being pregnant with our first daughter, and I was throwing up all day, every day, and I felt terrible the rest of the pregnancy. I did not look good, I did not feel good, and there wasn't a minute where my husband made me feel ugly or terrible or like I was lacking in any way. He treated me just the same, with just as much love and just as much care.
Supporting your spouse when times are tough, is great. When I had a reversal in my career, things didn't look pretty bleak, and Allison didn't abandon me because I was, not worth it anymore. She stuck with me. It was hard. It took a few years to recover, but she always was there. So that made for lots of good reasons to be together.
Don't badmouth your spouse to other people. Don't say rude, demeaning things. Don't say crude, crass things. Don't reveal things about intimacy. Don't talk about their appearance in any negative way. Just don't. Just don't do it. That kind of gossip is caustic and terrible for a relationship, and it's very harmful. Be loyal to your spouse in everything you say and build them up.
One that's increasingly more challenging for me now, but wasn't so bad when we were younger, is to find things to be funny, to make your spouse laugh. My wife's really good at finding stuff like that. It's a challenge for her because I tend to be a grumpy Gus, but
If either of you are traveling, check in with each other regularly. We always text each other when we get to the airport, when we take off, when we land, when we get to the hotel, and then check in periodically during the trip. It just helps the other person stay connected and makes them not worry.
Be honest, and that doesn't mean be
cruel or mean, but it does mean, say what you mean and mean what you say, and that sounds cliche, but it just makes for better relationships if you're open and honest.
If you're going to talk about mental load and emotional labor and all the new pop psych verbiage, be fair about it. Every role, every job, every career, every task has elements of emotional and mental labor. So if you're going to discuss that as part of a negotiation, be fair and clear about all those parts.
So I actually learned this technique in graduate school, but nowadays people teach it as part of negotiation. But it's really good for your marriage. You shouldn't think about conflict as being something that you compromise, although sometimes you don't have a choice. But you should think of conflict as something that you dissolve. And the way you dissolve conflict is not to make compromises, but to find what people's real interests are and then try to find common interests. And so an example is your spouse says, I want to go to vacation on Maui in Hawaii, right? And you're like, well, I don't want to go to a vacation in Maui in Hawaii. Right now you have conflict. But the common interest is your wife wants to go vacation someplace to chill on a beach where it's warm. And there's a lot of places where you can go to vacation to chill on a beach where it's warm that aren't Maui, Hawaii. And so often it's better to find out what really is that people want, what their real interests are, and then find common interests than just, stating positions and then being stubborn about it, right? So if you feel like your position isn't going over well, think about what it is that you really want, not what you stated it, and that's usually a better way to dissolve conflict.
Be fair about the division of labor. This is actually a really big thing now, but I don't think it should be the problem that it is for so many people. Everything that contributes to the family is a shared interest. It's shared work and it's a shared goal. So figure out a way that you can both contribute in a way that is fair to both people. My parents were always a really good example of this, even though they were born in the 20s. And I thought it was normal and typical, and I didn't find out till many years later that it wasn't for that generation. My mom was mostly a homemaker, and my dad was mostly a professor at a university. But in my life, we got up, my mom made breakfast, my dad went to work, my dad came home, set down his briefcase, and immediately came in to make a salad where my mom was cooking dinner. And after dinner and after all the chores were done, they would sit down together to watch a TV show. Similarly, on the weekends, my dad was mowing or vacuuming or doing some kind of work. And at one time I asked him, is this what your parents did? Why did you do this when other people in your generation didn't? And he said, no, I just thought it was the fair, right thing to do. If she was working, I'm also working. And then we can both relax together.
So learn how to be comfortable with your spouse so that, that everybody feels like they can show what they're like and that you'll still like them afterwards.
Keep a shared calendar and other relevant shared lists. You can prevent so many problems by being able to see each other's schedules, avoiding conflicts ahead of time, being able to pick up groceries with whomever is at the store. All those kinds of things make things run smoother.
Never go to bed angry at your spouse. It doesn't matter how upset things may be, find a way to make up before you go to bed, because if you go to bed angry, then you'll wake up angry and it just multiplies. So, whatever it is, try to make up before you go to bed, and then you'll sleep so much better.
Always ask each other before planning something significant. Now, I know this ruffles feathers on both sides. If a man says, well, I need to ask my wife, they say, oh, is she in control of you? Are you henpecked? And if a woman says she's going to ask her husband, they say, oh, you have to ask him for permission. You can't do anything on your own. Here's the thing. It's just common courtesy. If I want to go somewhere, I will check with Sam and see if it's okay, or if he has other plans, or if there's going to be a problem. And he always does the same for me. And if either of us is committing the other person to come with us somewhere, we always check. Always check to make sure not just that the schedule's clear, but that the other person is willing or wants to do the thing we're committing them to.
When you don't have a lot of resources, you want to make sure that both of you feel like you're getting your fair share. You know, when we were first married, I wanted to spend lots of money on computers and computer software and stuff like that. She didn't. Wasn't nearly as excited about that. So, but she did like to have some nice clothes and stuff like that. So I made a deal that if I bought some software, she could buy some clothes. And we had to have enough money to afford both. So it meant that it wasn't me just monopolizing all the money on computer stuff. And so that worked for a while until actually she found out she liked software. So I got the best of that deal, but I started out wanting it to be fair. So
40 years ago, this was called Cotton Tree Inn. And this is where we spent our wedding night, right after our reception. My advice, unpopular though it may be today, is to wait until you're married to have sex with each other. We had made out plenty and we were very attracted to each other, but we waited until our wedding night, and it was well worth it. You can get to know each other over time.
So if you want to have a great love life, then take your time, find out what works for your partner, and they'll enjoy it more.
We'll see you in 10 for the 50th edition. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and ring the notification bell. You can also follow along on Instagram at Midlife Credo, and join us in the Midlife Tribe on Facebook too, where we're thriving midlife without the crisis, but with lots of making up.